All right, pet parents, you guys wanted it, so don't be mad at anything I say, but let's talk about the French Bulldog. Okay, so I have to admit that Frenchies are pretty cute and they do have a ton of personality, even though half the time they sound like pterodactyls. Even though Frenchies are not as bad as their bigger counterpart, the English Bulldog, they are walking health conditions and they're a pretty expensive breed to buy, so unless you're I generally don't recommend people buy Frenchies, and we'll get to the health conditions why in a little bit, but of course, as always, here's your history lesson. Despite their name, the French Bulldog didn't actually originate in France. It originated in England.
You sit on a throne of lies.
In the mid-1800s, mini bulldogs were very popular among cottage industry workers, more specifically lace workers in Nottingham. When the Industrial Revolution happened, it made the cottage industry workers' jobs obsolete in England, and they all moved over to France. They brought the mini bulldogs with them, they settled in Paris, the French fell in love with the mini bulldog, and they made it a sexy breed to own, which eventually blossomed into the Frenchies we know today.
After all, this is France.
There are far too many health conditions that Frenchies are predisposed to for me to go over individually, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to group them together and hit the highlights. Frenchies are predisposed to a lot of different eye conditions, some of them because of genetics.
Time heals all things, except these crazy eyes.
There's also a couple of orthopedic conditions that Frenchies are predisposed to, with one of the more unique ones being what's called a hemivertebrae, which is nothing more than a deformed bone in the spinal column. I've also seen a lot of Frenchies rupture discs in their neck or their back, which can lead to an emergency, which may necessitate an MRI and surgery. Frenchies are also what's called a brachycephalic breed. So what that means is their nose isn't long, it's smushed in like they just ran headfirst into a brick wall. And with this can come a condition called brachycephalic syndrome, which is a combination of a couple of different things that make it hard for the Frenchie to breathe normally, hence why a lot of them sound like pigs. That brachycephalic syndrome also predisposes them to pneumonias and heat stroke. And on top of all that, Frenchies can't even be born naturally into this world. Over 80% of Frenchies have to be delivered via C-section. So according to Darwinism, Frenchies just shouldn't be a thing at this point. Now, I like Frenchies. They're really cute, they're funny, and they have a lot of personality, but what I'm going to tell you right now comes from love. As an ER veterinarian, I'm going to warn you that if you don't have a lot of money, if finances are really tight for you, for the love of God, do not get a Frenchie. They're a very popular breed, but they can be ungodly expensive between the cost of buying a Frenchie and treating all the conditions that they can be predisposed to.